Okay, so we have talked about human behavior with AI. We have talked about, new ideas on smarter systems. And the next talk is about the framework behind this all. Because scaling digital infrastructure is not just a technical challenge, as we all know, it's also about aligning it with energy systems and sustainability goals. So our next speaker works exactly in this intersection. Please welcome onto stage to me Nikolaos Kontinakis. He's a team leader at the European Commission DG Energy. Welcome to stage, Nikolaos. Nice to have you. Will you be on the lectern? Do you want a microphone? And the not white presenter is yours.
This one, right?
Perfect, thank you.
Many thanks. Many thanks for the invitation. I know you had two very interesting, inspirational presentations, and I hope now it's not the boring one, because talking about regulation is always not the happy moment. But okay, I think it's important to see at this point, because of course we are all talking about how AI, that means data centers, that means digital infrastructure, that means ICT from A to Z is going to explode in the next years. But we also know that in many cases, we don't have the resources or the readiness, let's call it like that, to place physically these assets on the ground. And that in many cases, they pose very significant challenges to the energy system, all aspects of the energy system, but also water systems and other aspects of everyday life, let's call it like that. And we try to see how we can build together, how we can bring together these two worlds. And in that sense, two worlds, I mean the need for digital growth with the physical limitations or challenges we have. So if I start correctly, here you will see I proudly copy that from the latest IEA report on AI and energy. I hope you have all read that. I mean, this is the update 1 month ago, even less, with the latest update on how globally data center consumption could evolve by 2030, 2035. And there are many interesting, of course, even if this is just an educated guess, there are many interesting things in this graph. One of which is no matter what we do, if we keep under these very basic assumptions, you see demand for energy from data centers double in the next 5 years. And then the scenarios here, the baseline goes somewhere in the middle, and the high efficiency, thankfully, is a bit lower. And you see that it can be significantly lower, actually, by 2035, which also is a positive signal that even with the same installed capacity, there are ways where we can at least somehow make this burden a bit lighter. So this is a very positive message in all this doubling and tripling that you see in the graph. Of course, something that is hiding in here is Europe is part of this cryptic AI advanced economies bar, which means that, at least according to IEA, no matter what we do, we won't be in par with the US. It looks that they are running ahead of everybody else. But still, this 20%, it's a significant number, also taking into account, of course, that it comes in very few concentrated spots in the map. I mean, data centers are very concentrated, very much located activities, and we know that this creates some challenges. So from my side, what I came to talk is, again, regulation, not the best, not the most interesting thing, but still something that it's behind the curtains and sometimes plays an important role. And what we start with, what I want to talk about, is the reporting scheme we established 2 years ago for larger data centers in Europe. And that was a first step to try and see more structurally the question of energy efficiency in data centers. Last year, there was an announcement by the Commissioner for Energy and Housing that this year, actually, hopefully within this month, we will present a data center energy efficiency package where we build on top of the reporting scheme a label for data centers in Europe, but we also open a discussion which, in that sense, at infrastructure level, could prove very important, the discussion about minimum performance standards for larger data centers. That, of course, is something that could drive discussions even around the globe. We know many countries that have contacted us, I mean, the Commission, the institutions, and have said, we're looking very carefully, we have the same challenges, we want to see how really we can create a more sustainable digital growth. Now, what it looks like, it's something like that. What you see in front of you, for those of you that have the luck to follow regulatory developments, you have seen that because that was put on public consultation 1 month ago until last week. And this was a proposal about this label I talked about. So this is how it is supposed more or less to look like. And as you see, it talks about energy, water, how much of this energy is claimed to be renewable, plus a couple more things that in the future could prove very important for data centers and their integration to the system, which is functions to the grid and whether a data center is ready to reuse its heat. And I say very important because, of course, we cannot avoid data centers using electricity. That's an obvious reality. But what if, of course, in a wider scale, we can reuse then at least part of this electricity in the form of heat that comes out on the other side. And also we know, and there are a lot of discussions right now, about how data centers can be more integrated in the electricity system, especially when it comes to flexibility, services to the grid, etc. It's a huge discussion. We have just scratched the surface, but still a very important one if we want to talk about something that has a future, a sustainable future. Now, what you see is almost, on the top, we're going to have some information about the data center. Then, as I said, here is where the renewable, let's say, energy claims come from. Here you see what is the rating on the power usage effectiveness, the same for water, and the two little voluntary futures that we propose to also be shown in this label. The results of the consultation I talked about was something like almost 200 response from all types of stakeholders, accompanied by almost 100 very detailed position papers. We are in the process of processing them and trying to see how we can reach a final text to propose for adoption. The idea is this to be an automated process, by the way. So since we have the reporting scheme, that at the end of its reporting cycle, this label will be automatically produced. The scheme looks a bit very technical and elaborate, but it's a very simple, right? A very simple concept. Someone reports and 2 months after finds in the web page his label in a PDF form. To do that, and I just have here a sequence of slides that afterwards you could go and look at if you want. We had run one study last year for the label. We run another study right now about the minimum performance standards I talked about. We issue in the meantime technical reports as results. So here I have some slides about all these. This was the previous study, technical assistance project that we ran. The first study that analyzed the first year of the reporting. The second study that proposed this label I showed you, and some things that came out of this. Now, why do I mention all this? Because there are the many, many interesting details, although we are plagued by challenges in terms of data completeness and quality, about what could be, let's say, the reality of data centers in Europe right now. Here you see, for the first year, we had something like 1/3 of the data centers that are estimated that exist in Europe having reported. And there was a rather deep analysis of how is the landscape. It hasn't done before at European level, maybe national level from very good associations. And one interesting graph that came out is this one. There's a slight mistake in here. I leave it for you to find out in the scales, in the axis. But you see how we can understand where is more or less the average PUE and what is the average water consumption of data centers in Europe right now. There is also maybe a more interesting graph which talks about the interrelation between PUE and WUE. For those of you that work at infrastructure level, you know that usually we always talk about the standard trade-off between how much electricity or how much water you consume. The more you consume of the one in the cooling system, the less is the other, and vice versa. But I think here it's important because you can also see in the same graph the size of the data center that reported and the climate zone in which it is located. So there can be some interesting conclusions on average always about what is the situation in terms of infrastructure in the existing data centers in Europe. And where are we right now? As I said, hopefully by the end of this month, you will see the final text of this label we plan to have for data centers in the European Union. And then we have now a new cycle, or a new technical assistance project with workshops and studies that will come out about the design of possible minimum performance standards for data centers. That's a very interesting work. It could go in many directions as well. And one thing also we published, it's a dashboard. We are asked by the legislation to publish the reported data in aggregated form, not at data center level, but at aggregated form. And this is what you can find in the second link I have there. And also we are preparing an analysis of the second year. So all these graphs you saw before for the first year, another such analysis for the second year. And hopefully this analysis year after year will become somehow the standard analysis of what is the landscape of data centers in Europe in terms of energy, water, and sustainability. I mean, we hope we will reach there very soon. There is nothing more really from my side. I hope I didn't put you too much into the regulation, let's say, numbness. But there are a lot of things coming, and I want to mention again this work we have started about the minimum performance standards, because it's something that really started. 24th of March, we had the first workshop, something like an inception one. The first real content workshop is going to take place 22nd of June, if I'm not wrong on the date, and very soon the invitations are going out. You will see there one of the links leads you somewhere where you can register so that you receive, when this comes, the invitation. I hope some of you at least follow this work. And yeah, hope to talk to you soon about your ideas.